This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
Alright guys, this is the last day of June. This is Ryan's last chance to blow me out of the water.
Well, we're doubling down on the mother-in-law ones this month because I have another mother-in-law one. This is an Ask Amy article.
Oh my god, yes!
Getting away from my usual stomping grounds of Am I the Asshole? So this one, Ask Amy, my mother-in-law undermines my wife in front of our daughter.
No. Oh no.
Yeah. So to clarify, we're talking about this man, his wife's mom. Their relationship seems to be difficult.
Okay, so the wife's mom.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's her and her own mother. So, dear Amy, I am a husband and father of an 18-month-old daughter. So, 1.5 years old.
It's hard to undermine when the baby's only one.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but we'll see where this goes.
Okay.
I'm concerned about how my mother-in-law treats my wife and daughter. She calls my wife multiple times a day to FaceTime with her granddaughter. My wife answers as often as she can. So she's calling the wife to talk to the granddaughter.
Multiple times a day? That's a lot.
The problem I have is that my mother-in-law keeps saying things to our toddler like, don't worry, whenever grandma is talking to you, you don't have to listen to your mom.
Oh, hell no.
Right? That's the tone we're setting.
And you're starting that when they're a toddler?
I
don't know if I'd call that age a toddler, but still, that's messed up.
Yeah. Or when my wife tells my daughter to stop doing something, her mother will say, Grandma says it's okay.
Click.
Mm-hmm.
No more grandma.
Yeah. The last time I heard this, I wanted to grab the phone and say, Mom makes the rules, and if you can't follow them, you can't see our daughter, and hang up on her.
Oh, I'd love that. Man with the spine.
My wife says it isn't my place. Parentheses, I agree. But she hasn't set boundaries.
I don't agree.
Well, he agrees with his wife that it's not his place. My mother-in-law is coming to visit, and I've been stressing out about it constantly.
Oh, no.
She is sleeping on our couch for 3 days, and I don't think I want to hold my tongue if she tries to say the same thing when she's in our home. I'm all for grandparents spoiling their grandkids, but when my daughter is throwing food on our floor and grandma says it's okay, make your parents clean it up, I want to ground grandma.
Oh, God.
Your suggestions, signed, Nervous.
I'm loving this dad, giving me all the good dad bod vibes.
Yeah, I think the way this is written, I'm like, I already like this person.
Yes, like, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's being respectful and saying, like, yeah, this is my wife's place to set boundaries with her own mother, right? She's the one that needs to do this. This is her relation. It's not my place to do so, but I am concerned because I'm feeling like this undermining has gone too far.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, I agree with him. I think he's coming from the right place. I do have the concept of, like, this child is 18 months old, and at that point, they're not doing a whole lot of actual talking or understanding and not forming permanent memories yet, because that doesn't really happen until 4.
That's the thing. They might not be getting permanent memories, but they do understand you by that age.
Sure, they understand. And they're at least developing patterns.
Yes.
Right? Pattern recognition.
For the rest of their life.
So I think it's fair to say that this can have a cumulative effect that is negative. So, Amy's response. Nervous. Keep your cool. The calmer and more consistent you are, the more effective your response will be. If your mother-in-law directly countermands you, and if you are certain she isn't just being playful, you can say, oops, I'm going to have to stop you. We are her parents, and we need to make the rules for her, even if you don't agree with them.
Oops. That's so
Oops.
sweet.
Can you help us out here and not contradict us? She might say, oh, I'm only joking. Don't take this so seriously. And you can respond with, I get it, but we're trying to be consistent, and her sense of humor isn't quite developed yet. Which I think is a brilliant response.
Oh, that's so cute and sweet and sassy.
Right? Because I get that. I mean, I do get, like, maybe the grandma in this case is joking, right? Maybe she's trying to be humorous and funny and try to set this pattern of, like, oh, grandma's funny, grandma lets me get away with things. Sure. But 1.5 year, 2-year-olds, they don't understand sarcasm. They don't understand humor. They have no concept of that. That's a complex thought, right? They are in concrete thinking. They are taking what you say literally.
Food or no food? Food on the floor or food on my mouth?
Right. So when you tell this child, you don't have to listen to mom or grandma's here, they are hearing that as if it's gospel. They're hearing that and saying, yeah, you're right. I don't have to, if you tell me I don't have to do this, I don't have to do it.
I mean, Santa Claus is a thing for a reason.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I very much agree that, like, this might be funny to you, but this is directly undermining our authority to the child.
Every time.
Yeah.
Especially if there's multiple conversations a day.
Yeah, it seems like...
Grandma runs the show.
Yeah, it seems like Grandma's really trying to wiggle her way in there and start early on the spoiling in a way that I think is actually going to be harmful to the child.
Oh, super harmful, because if you believe that rules only apply, like, half of the time, then you are going to be the worst entitled person.
It also, in its own way, turns the child against their own parents, which is not good, right? Like, you can spoil your grandkids, but you shouldn't spoil them in such a way as to make the parents out to be the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
That's not good. That is ultimately harmful to their relationship with their own parents.
And then the child is just going to be like, well, I want to be with grandma all the time. Or I'm going to call grandma and see what grandma wants to do or what grandma thinks.
Yeah. I think that spoiling is okay, but spoiling should never undermine the rules that parents have established. Like, I don't like the, oh, it's our little secret thing. I'm like, no, that kind of sets a pattern of trying to sneak things past your parents, which is not, generally speaking, a good mentality to be in for kids, right? Like, you're basically teaching the kid to lie to their parents.
From an early age.
And that feels bad. That feels counterproductive to this person's mental health.
You know, I'd be nervous too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what is it going to be like when she's there in person?
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe I would like to believe she's going to be different, but I don't expect that's true.
Usually people are worse in person than they are online.
Yeah. This is actually an interesting thing that comes up even outside of, like, family, right? Like, you can have this where I have friends multiple friends have their own children and they have their children hang out and they have different rules in their houses for what children are allowed to do, right?
Oh my God, yes.
And trying to navigate the space of not undermining another parent's authority because you don't agree with their parenting style is, like, I think that's a big deal.
Oh, it's super big deal. Especially for, like, I wouldn't say, like, the small stuff, like, hey, take your shoes off. Mm-hmm. But stuff like spanking and what you can and can't eat and where you can and can't eat and how much you have to eat.
Right.
It's a minefield.
Yeah. Anything from, like, general etiquette and manners to, like, diet and activity restrictions, right? I remember I had a friend growing up where their parents severely limited his screen time. And that wasn't a thing that my family had established, right? We didn't have it. I mean, we were encouraged to go out and do things, and we did. But we didn't have a limit. Where I would go to his house, and I remember being shocked and surprised when, like, his parents would be like, okay, you went on the computer for an hour, get off. Like, go do something else. And being like, what is going on here, right?
What do you mean I can only get an hour at the desktop computer?
Right. And, like, you know, that wasn't a thing when he came over to my house. But if his parents had been like, no, this child is only allowed this thing, and my mom had been like, well, I'm just not going to enforce that, that in its own way is kind of undermining.
Yeah, because it's all like, Brian's mom lets me be on the computer all I want.
Right. And if I, as the friend, had been like, yo, let's sneak up and get on the computer when your parents aren't looking because they've kicked us off, I'd be undermining them, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm a child in that case, and it's not
It's
the
not the
same.
end of the world.
But it's still a negative thing overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because especially it sounds like the parents cared.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were concerned about screen. I wonder how those parents would function in today's society, especially that chunk of time where kids had to do computer school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Retrospectively, his parents were overly strict and a little weird. They were weird. They were weird parents.
But they did it out of love, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably.
Hopefully.
I don't know. He ended up going the full rebel thing later.
It happens, especially with, like, okay, not to nag on you guys's and your parenting choices. Don't mean to undermine you, but I'm about to undermine you. When you are overly strict, from my personal experience, the child is going to go extra wild because they won't know self-control and self-regulation. They had somebody else constantly doing it for them. So they never learned how to do it themselves.
There is a strong correlation between people who grow up in strict households becoming a little wilder, and those who grow up in wild houses tend to gravitate towards structure.
There's like an easy medium that I think often gets overlooked. It's like you're a strict parent or you're a loosey-goosey parent. Why can't you just be a medium parent?
I don't think that medium is easy. I think that moderation is actually one of the most difficult things to achieve in life, in any aspect of
You know,
things.
it takes practice, it takes work. I was a free child for most of my childhood, and I think I turned out okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think most people turn out okay.
No, they don't. Most people turn out like assholes.
Okay.
And then eventually they learn to not be an asshole through trial and error in their 20s.
Yeah, that's turning out okay.
No. Nobody needs to be an asshole in their 20s.
I agree. I don't know.
Maybe
I
I'm just...
I don't think that I think that parenting matters a lot.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, it matters. There's just, there needs to be a balance.
I just think there's some aspect of human nature that causes us to have to unlearn poor behavior.
Yeah.
And parenting can only do so much.
Oh, yeah, because some people turn out like psychopaths and they have like perfectly wonderful, loving parents that do their best.
Sure. Although that is more uncommon, right? If you look at, when they look at the psychological profiles of serial killers, they tend to see a lot of damage.
Yeah,
right?
Usually overbearing mothers and head trauma. Those are the two things. If your kid falls on their head, just be like, okay, he's a lost cause. Throw out the whole kid, try again.
Yeah. Serial killers don't typically come from well-adjusted households. They can.
Son of Sam.
Right. They can. Just not common.
It's just not common. Anyways, guys, good luck parenting your kids. I'm so glad I'm not one of you poor suckers.
Yeah, I'm not either. At least not yet.
Oh, am I going to be making a blanket for you one day?
Someday. Could be. It's one of those things of, it's not set in stone one way or the other.
Okay, I like that. Leave your options open.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next week for the monthly review. Make sure to follow us on Twitter so you can vote to see who had the cringiest post in July.
Yeah, I think I need to win this month.
Okay.
The last two have been ties.
Yeah, we've had a lot of ties and we've had a lot of me winning.
Yeah, I think I've earned it, you know?
You've earned it. Do you think it will be this post that earns it?
I think it might be the last one.
Yeah.
I think the vacation one was slightly cringier than this. This is like, but it's not like the line about. I don't know. Actually, we'll see when we do our monthly review.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye. All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
Hello, I am Patrick,
And I'm Andrew.
And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
and we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.